But I felt like the words fast and feast were a little too temporary for me. And I shared with you the joke about, this morning would have been the morning that the Easter Bunny ears, sorry Buckbeak, the Easter Bunny ears would have been gone already from the hollowed out chocolate bunny, right? Because I had fasted from chocolate for so long, and Sunday morning was the day I could finally give that up. And so I finally thought that I wanted to go into something a little bit more permanent. If we're going to fast on anger, why not just release it? If we're going to feast on love, why not just embrace it and make it a way of life? And so that's how this all evolved. And so I just wanted to remind you of a few of the things that we did as we were talking about this. Some of the things that we were releasing is, to be honest with you, I don't think my notes match the slide, so I have to kind of look at the slide. Busyness. The walls, those emotional walls that we build up from time to time that can stay for years and years, right? Resistance. We decided to release resistance to new ideas, to a changing world, to lots of things. We resist a lot. We would rather things just stay the way they are. Even sometimes when they're uncomfortable, we would rather just leave things the way they are, because then I don't have to think too much. My move from Florida to New England has, because I live in Connecticut but work in Massachusetts, when I did this move, I didn't think about how much thinking was going to be involved. And what I mean by that is I didn't even know how to get to the local grocery store. And I didn't know any of the streets around me. So I'm still getting familiar. I'm much better than I used to be, and I'm pretty sure of where I'm at most of the time now without having to turn my little GPS tracker on. But I'm still not as familiar as I was living in an area. I was in Fort Myers for 15 years, and in Florida in general for 28. So there's a lot of things I'm still getting used to. And I was very resistant to change, so what did I do? I decided to move 1,500 miles away, right? Mm-hmm. That'll test your resistance, let me tell you. And then old philosophies, I think that was last week's lesson. The idea that I'm supposed to be a certain person in a certain place at a certain time in my life. Get rid of it. Let it go, right? And when Sky talked to me this morning about this song, Let Go of the Shore, I thought that's perfect, right? We hold on to that philosophy, whatever your philosophy might have been that has not been serving you for a while, but yet we hold on to it because it's all we know. And so it's time to let go of the shore and let the water carry us. Sounds relaxing, but sometimes I grab on a lot tighter than I need to be. Have you ever heard the phrase "let go or be dragged"? Mm-hmm. It's still good? Do they have that song? Yeah. Let go or be dragged. Just imagine yourself with the claw marks on the piece of wood that you're trying to hold on to, right? And it's just getting out of your grasp, and you're just, yeah. So that's what we talked about over these last few weeks about releasing. And, the things that are familiar to us, that's what we're working on releasing so we can make room for the new. So what did we embrace? Unlimited abundance. Are you living from a consciousness of unlimited abundance? I can't speak for you. I can only speak for me, and I can tell you that some days are better than others. Some days I'm all in, both feet, whole body, the whole 9 yards. I'm good to go. Yep, unlimited abundance. Other days I am counting my pennies. I think some of you could relate to that, right? But the absolute truth is there is unlimited abundance. And so I come on a Sunday morning, I get reminded of this. Right? Or I'm at home and all of a sudden I'll hear one of your voices in the back of my head saying, unlimited abundance. It's not just me doing the talking. You guys, we talk to each other and I hear what you have to say on a Saturday morning or a Wednesday night when I'm on Zoom with some of you. It's awesome because We can share ideas, and we can remind each other. Our divine identity, that was that lesson of reminding us of that divine presence within us, making up every cell of our body, that it is just completely and absolutely divine in nature. And when I remember that, I just walk a little bit straighter. I stand up a little bit taller. I'm not walking around with arrogance, but confidence. People are talking to me, I'm talking to them. It just feels right when I'm remembering my divine identity. I grew up in a family that wasn't really talking about divine identity a lot. In fact, I don't think they ever mentioned it. I grew up in a traditional religion, but I don't remember hearing much about divine identity. And that makes a difference for me. And I'm hoping it makes a difference for some of you too. That understanding that what makes up our whole being, what we really are, is that spiritual, divine presence. Having a human experience. And challenging that might be sometimes, right? Living life out loud. Yeah, I mean, we're going to do a little dancing a little while, aren't we? That's what Sky told me. I have no idea about this, but yeah, we're gonna get up and bounce a little bit, just a little bit, and that's great. Why not, right? This is not a somber occasion, and I know that it never was presented that way. It was always, I went to church, and it was always about singing those very high, the high-pitched sounds that you have to sing to hit the high notes for the glory hallelujahs and the amens, but everybody was joyous. Right? This is an exciting time. But here's what's even more exciting. We get to leave the tomb of limitations. Now, I got that phrase from the Daily Word this morning. It talks about leaving that tomb of limitations. Think about that. Think about just simply walking away from the tomb of limitations. How out loud would you be living? You can start right this minute. Right? It's exciting because I believe it. I do believe it. A couple weeks ago, I was talking to Jim Rosemurgy, who's coming here, by the way. He's making his way up to this area in the summer. And I don't know the weekend yet, but I have asked him, and he has agreed to speak here on a Sunday. So I'm very excited about that. You'll have to tell your friends and bring them when he comes, because he's got quite a message to give. But anyway, I was talking to him about some of this, and about living life out loud and divine love, etc., etc. And he just laughed because I'm just not the same little office administrator that started working for him 5.5 years ago. He just, and he always refers to me as KK. For those of you who get emails from me from time to time, I always, I'll sign it Kathleen or KK. I've done that at my job too, and he always refers to me as KK. But it's funny the difference that these teachings can make for anyone. And if they made them for me, you can make them for anybody. Can do it, truthfully. But there is the living out loud, going with the divine love. Okay, so that is our absolute nature. We've talked about that. Our absolute nature is that of divine love. Sometimes hard to see on Facebook when I'm looking at my friends who have differing opinions from me. Sometimes hard for me to see that they have just as much divine love as I do, because it's not apparent from some of the posts that I'm reading, but it's there. And so my job is to continue to stay focused on me. In fact, Jim talked to me all the time about manifestation is none of your business, Kathleen. Okay, right? How it manifests, don't worry about it. Just know that your thoughts, the spiritual practice that you have in place, the spiritual practice that you are working on growing and expanding, that will bring about even greater results and greater results. Forget what results you're looking for. Don't look for anything specific. Just keep on going. Just keep on going. Okay. So the daily word from 1988, the affirmation was, I am awakened to the resurrected Christ, a presence of power and life within me. I am alive, awake, alert, and energetic. Wow, whew, that's a lot. Alive, awake, alert, and energetic. Do you feel that this morning? Because I'm looking at a few faces that I'm not sure about. It's a little early, I get it. A little gray outside, I get it, right? I am awakened to the resurrected Christ. The reason I picked this particular reading was because it talked about the threefold status of this whole process. It is physical, it is mental, and it is spiritual. And so that's why it almost feels like a triple whammy, so to speak, right? I'm physically awakened, vigor and vitality of divine life is right within me. Mentally, I'm alert but at ease. Holy cow. I never felt alert but at ease in my life before starting this whole journey of exploring unity teachings. Never felt at ease at all. But now I feel comfortable in my own skin. And maybe some of you can relate to that. There's a certain quiet confidence that comes with understanding that no matter what happens, I'm okay already. There's a certain calming peace that comes with understanding that no matter what is happening, my divine nature doesn't change. And there's a comfort that comes with that in times of challenging issues that come up. We had a couple of friends that visited here a few weeks ago, and they went on a trip. And one of them got very, very sick, and they were out of the country. And they're now on their way home, fortunately. I was able to connect with them before they left. I connected on Facebook. And I'm telling you what, I have never seen such a scary story in all of my life. It had to do, I'm not sure if it was a reaction to the humidity down wherever they were in South America, but the one person had this severe reaction, ended up in the hospital, was released a day later, and then ended up in the hospital again. And that's got to be a scary thing when you're not in your country. You can't communicate as well as you would like to. But I watched her partner take the absolute best care of her that I could have ever described. It was just beautiful to watch the unfolding of it. And Facebook sometimes can be challenging, but it's those stories that keep me on there. And these are two people that I know, right? And so they're on their way home today. They took an early flight and they're on their way home, thank goodness, and she'll be able to get with her doctor and get hydrated properly and all that other stuff. So I think that's all it was. I think it had to do with the reaction to the humidity down there. But be that as it may, it's that core of divine love that manifested itself for her partner to help her through it. It was that core of divine love that allowed her to get through that healing process. No matter what's going on, our nature is divinity. Period. Okay. So you know what the platform assistant forgot to do? The platform assistant forgot to read you the quotes for the lesson. Silly girl. I'm gonna bring her up here now and she'll read them to you. From Eckhart Tolle, to realize that you are not your thoughts is when you begin to awaken spiritually. So I thought that was important to put in there because we did say in principle number 3 that we manifest from our thoughts. But yet we are not our thoughts. That's not what we are. Okay? So that's important. Marianne Williamson. When we are truly aware of our spiritual glory, a varicose vein or two is not that big a deal. I'm going to say that one again. When we are truly aware of our spiritual glory, a varicose vein or two is not that big a deal. Right? From Amit Ray, your greatest awakening comes when you are aware about your infinite nature. And that's what I've just been talking about. When I am living from that consciousness, I can know something and not live from it. Right? I can know that I am powerful and I have access to all the 12 powers, etc., but then I can go out into the real world and I may not show any of it because I get too caught up in the humanness of what's going on around me, and then I forget right away. And this is the last quote I want to share with you. It's from Anton Saint-Martin. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but you are one thing only. You are a divine being, an all-powerful creator. You are a deity in jeans and a t-shirt. And the rest of it goes on to say, and within you dwells the infinite wisdom of the ages, and the sacred creative force of all that is, will be, and ever was. So I invite you again to think about what would your life be like if you were living from the consciousness that within you is the sacred creative force of all that is. It would be so powerful. It would be so magnificent. And that is not to say that what you're doing right now is not powerful and magnificent either. I want to make sure that I make that perfectly clear. What we are doing now on a regular basis is pretty amazing. Look at the world around you. Look at the challenges that you're facing, the people around you are facing, etc. And look at what you're able to do in helping people. If you come from the understanding, that infinite wisdom, that this sacred creative force is within you, that's all there is, and you've got it. You can tap into it at any time simply by remembering. Then even greater things will you do. And who said that? Jesus said that, right? You can do these things, and even greater things can you do. See how I tied that all in? But that's the deal. This is a day of celebration, not just about a story of a man who died on a cross and rose on the third day. That's not the only thing that's going on here. What's going on is that Christ's presence within us is reawakened. And you do not have to wait until next Easter to let it reawaken again. You could wake up every single day and you could remember Christ's presence. Think of the greatest fireworks display you've ever seen, and that's what's going on inside of you. It's amazing. And then keep yourself open. Open mind, open heart. Just be careful, because what you ask for, you might just get. That's what happens. This has been one of my favorite series of talks, not because they're so great, but because of the content of the idea of the release and embrace. The idea that we don't have to fast and feast and then it's over. Release and embrace. I release it. I'm always going to be working on releasing. Always. Because there are things that are going to creep in and I'm just going to release them. I'm going to let go of that shore and I am going to let the water carry me. And so it is. Amen.